Don't you hate wrestling with predictability? The garbage man, the sexy boy, boring ass TV? How did I get to work in here? Somebody tell me, please. The WWF is confusing to me. With Vince as mean as you've ever seen. I told old Patterson I'm done here in June. When a sudden voice inside me whispered, Vinny, don't sell your dream so soon. And everywhere I look, there's a Ted with a hand to hold on to. And everywhere I look, there's a place and a promotion who needs you. And it's there you'll book when you're lost out there and you're all alone. And WCW's waiting to carry you home. It's there you'll book. And it's there I'll book. A doobity-ba-ba-ba, headed to Atlanta and listen to this podcast. It's all right, even though it fucking makes fun of everything I've ever done. Backbone Wrestling Network, welcome back to episode 42 of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? I'm Scott Shiflett. Joining me as always, the backbone of the backbone. We're over 500 episodes as a podcast, I guess,
network
company,
feed.
Logan, even though we network feed. Yeah, network feed. And he's been on maybe 478 of them. Logan Crosland. Logan, how are you doing this evening?
Yes, we are 502 deep by now. I think this comes out on Friday, so I think we'll be at 502 at that point. So, yeah, incredibly proud of that. Happy to be part of such a great network with a lot of great people. So, but yeah, we're back for some more Vince Russo debauchery as usual. So,
oh, Logan, it's some Vince Russo debauchery. But before we get there, I said this last episode. This was my 11th birthday, Logan. And I can say for a fact, after watching this episode, I did not watch this on my birthday. I don't know what I did, but I did not watch this on my birthday. Yeah, for when I was that age, my parents had like this big ass tent that could sleep like 18 people. So like they would put that up, and like me and my stepbrother would have like a joint birthday party because his birthday was in April and mine's in May, obviously. And we would have like our friends over, and usually just people from the baseball team that we were on at the time because we're on the same team. That year, I looked it up. I got the NSYNC No Strings Attached CD.
Good one.
Which was a banger. I remember, listening to that on my PlayStation because I did not have a CD player, gang, but my PlayStation worked as a CD player.
Wow. That takes me back.
Fucking old I am. Yeah.
That takes me back for sure.
Couldn't even download the music, guys. I would just have to listen to it while I'm like cleaning my room or something. But yeah, so besides that and having a big ass birthday party, that's what I did. I probably did that the weekend before this, obviously because this is on a Monday, but that's really all I remember. But we would play like hide and go seek and shit, and then some of us would get cold and sleep inside in my basement, but in my childhood home. But yeah, let's jump in. As before we started recording, we talked about the Mississippi geography because Logan lives in Mississippi, and I thought it was a hop, skip, and going to jump like all the northern states. But he informed me he lives 4 hours away from where we took place tonight in Biloxi, Mississippi. And when we see like the show starts off, we see a video of the Sting and Vampiro of them being friends and the feud. And then we see a cage, and it's a House of Pain cage match, Logan, which I think this was called something else before, when it was just Russo, when we had the Filthy Animals for Revolution feud.
It's definitely been called the House of Pain before, but maybe it was called something else as well.
Yeah.
We've definitely had a House of Pain match before, I know.
Yeah. Which I enjoy. The rules are there's no rules. The only way you win is when you shackle. Used to be arms and legs because that's how they tore Rey Mysterio's knee up that one time. But now you just got to shackle your arms, both arms to the cage, and then you can just beat the hell out of the opponent. So we're not even kicking off with a promo. We're launching into a match, Logan. And the cage has a ceiling on top. That's important for tonight, for this match, and for later, actually. So Vampiro gets on the mic, and he says he wanted the Little Stingers to see Sting's last match. That's why we're having it here and not on a pay-per-view. And Vampiro locks the cage when he gets in, so Sting can't get in. So Sting climbs the cage, and he's on top of the cage, and he starts hitting the cage with a baseball bat, which, I don't know, Logan. I don't think that would work. Somehow it breaks it, and he drops down, and like Vampiro's just standing there watching him, and he just kicks the ever-loving shit out of Vampiro. Then he beats him around the cage. And then Sting does a face buster, but then when they're both getting up, Van gets a kick in. He starts beating Sting around the ring and throws him into the cage a couple of times. Vampiro hits a side suplex, then a spin kick, and then he picks Sting up and punches him into the corner. And then when he's in the corner waiting there, Vampiro then chops Sting down. Vampiro taunts the crowd while Sting is getting up. Sting gets up when Vampiro starts punching him. He gets 10 punches in the corner, then hits a snap suplex, then he hits a leg drop. Tony mentions that David Flair and Russo went to Ric Flair's house in Charlotte over the weekend, and we'll see video of that later tonight. Then Vampiro kicks Sting and is going after his knee. Then he just keeps dropping a knee on Sting's nuts. And then Vampiro just picks Sting up and then just kills him with a spin kick after Sting got a couple like hole punches in. It was a pretty nice spin kick, Logan. Probably the nicest thing we see. Vampiro then goes up top, but is going for either a missile drop kick or a Hurricane Rana. But Sting catches him and powerbombs him, which was pretty nice. Then he clotheslines Vampiro 3 times. He gets an atomic drop and throws him into the cage. Then throws him into the other side of the cage. Then he rubs Vampiro's face against the cage. Would have loved some blood there. Sting is able to get one of the handcuffs on Vamp's arms, and then he's able to get the second one in. So he wins, the bell rings, and then after the match, he starts Stinger splashing Vampiro against the cage. Sting then walks away. We see that Vampiro is smiling. Sting celebrates and the lights go out and they show up and Vampiro is gone. Logan, this was like a 5-minute match. It really should have been a feud ender, but this seems to be just continuing the feud as we're seeing Sting go potentially darker and darker, which Vampiro wants.
Yeah, with them kind of announcing that it's, that they said something, like you mentioned it, they said something about like, oh, this needs to be on TV so they can see Sting's last match or whatever, which goes against every wrestling booking you could possibly think, because you would want to put that on pay-per-view if you knew or thought it was going to be his last match or anything like that. But it was encouraging to see Vampiro get some offense. He kind of controlled most of the middle half of the match, which is good to see based on how this feud and how these things have kind of gone in the past for him. But Sting ultimately still gets over, still wins. So Vampiro still isn't getting any wins. So I still don't understand. No, I mean, I feel like I come across maybe as a Vampiro mark in this. I don't love him or anything. I just feel like if this is supposed to be like a future star or somebody you see as maybe a star of the future, you're really not putting him in a position to succeed. So, I mean, like I said, he did get a good bit of offense in this one, so it's better than what we've usually gotten from these two. But again, Sting ultimately stands tall and wins yet again, and it's obviously not over as we'll go forward.
Yeah, we'll see something later that shows this isn't over. But yeah, Logan, you brought up a great point that like if these guys are supposed to be the future, they're supposed to get wins, not like quote unquote their heat back. We're seeing this in the Kidman feud a lot, even sort of with Lex and Chuck Palumbo as well. Mike Awesome
sort of has gotten some wins, so we can't really throw him in that, but we will after tonight. Spoiler alert. I think we're starting to see the downfall of him. Filthy Animals look like fucking jokes. They're not really in a feud, but just ass backwards booking, which I really enjoyed the show. But spoiler alert, guys, it's gimmick matches fucking galore tonight, and Russo must have snorted a shit ton of coke.
Still no polls though.
Still no polls, which I'm shocked with. Maybe that comes in the summer, Logan, where Bischoff's gone.
Yeah,
that's what I have a feeling.
Yeah,
we do get some broken guitars tonight because they did remember that Jeff Jarrett is their champion and needs to fucking do something. So then we're in the back and we see Brian Clark show up. His car, he just got in, and then Shane Douglas runs in and attacks him as he's setting up his car. Now, Logan, we famously did 7 Months of Danger on the NoSo feed. Go and check that out. This was not the attack that they had on Barry Windham at Halloween Havoc 1991 by a long shot. And that was pretty awesome. This was just the run-of-your-mill, not in Attitude Era 2000s just attack. But we see the ever-present Goldberg truck watching. Still a character, guys. As they try to hype up that maybe
we get fucking Scott Hudson. Is that the Goldberg truck in the background? I mean, you barely see it, too. And it's like, you really have to be looking for it, and he has to call it out. He's like, is that Goldberg in the back?
Yeah, I had to rewind it because I didn't see it
at
first. I was like, what is he talking about? But tonight, they'll trying to say, we'll see Goldberg in the flesh. Spoiler alert, no, we fucking don't. So we get a commercial break, and then we see General Rection talking to the Misfits. He said if it's a war that Eric wants, then it's a war that he'll get. He changes some names. Van Hammer just becomes Major Stash. Chavo becomes Lieutenant Loco, and then Hugh G. Rection introduces the newest cadet, Major Guns, and let's go win the war. I don't know why she has the name Major Guns, Logan. Can you care to explain why you think she has that? She doesn't have any muscles.
Yeah, I think it might be the two absolute cannons on her chest. If I'm being honest with you, I think that might be it.
Yeah, she just wanted all the silicone with that. But
give me the biggest.
We had seen.
You have.
Yeah, we had seen her before, Logan, with NWO 2000. She was one of the girls in like did like an interview that we saw at one point with Mean Gene. So like obviously they had her on contract and was like, we got to fucking use her. So then Chronic comes out. They're still holding the tag titles. They're still not tag champs. Let me reiterate that. They've stolen the tag belts. They're not tag champs. Brian Adams calls out the franchise and calls him a punk ass. Adams says that his partner missed the 420 out of Atlanta. Get it? We joke because their name is Chronic, and says for franchise to come face the music like a man, or they will go and tear this place apart brick by brick. Shane Douglas comes out and calls Biloxi, Mississippi pieces of shit. Shane says he's taking the belts without backup because they are dumb. Shane says that Buff has been suspended for 30 days for disciplinary actions. And he says his backup is the Wall. This leads us to match 2, which is Chronic versus Shane Douglas and the Wall for the tag titles. All for battle. And then very shortly, Shane just leaves the ring and abandons the Wall. Clark follows him out, but Shane leaves, and like they have the same aisleway set up as they've had since Slamboree. Wall chokeslams Adams while this happens, and then like he's trying to fight Clark, but Wall falls off the side of the aisleway, which looked like an unplanned spot and probably hurt like a bitch. They recover well. Clark starts beating down Wall, but Wall puts Clark through a table as they were set up around ringside. Adam starts fighting Wall now. Adam tried to powerbomb Wall through the table, but Wall reverses it and back body drops him onto the table. Table didn't break. That probably hurt like a bitch. Wall then puts Adam on the table and splashes him from the ring apron, which was pretty nice. By this point, Clark has got back up and he picks back up Adams as Wall was celebrating in the ring like they didn't win. And then they start beating down Wall and they take him outside again. They put him through the announce table with a double choke slam. I say Wall doesn't deserve this. They buried Wall under the announce table. Then they pick him up and throw him back in the ring. Adams pins him, and they are now tag champs despite David Penzer's dumbass saying, and still tag champs. They never won the fucking tag titles. This is a tag title change. So Chronic is finally tag champs. Buff's been suspended 30 days. Who knows what the fuck he did? It had to be something pretty bad if you're getting suspended for 30 days from 2000's WCW.
Yeah, from this regime. Yeah,
I know he had like 2 run-ins where he like punched like a ring attendant or something, and also where like there was like a spring break thing, which I think that's before, where he like pulled a girl's top off or something. I don't know, but both not great, guys. Both not great. After the match, the paramedics come out and they try to pick up Wall and put him on a gurney, but Wall beats down the paramedics and puts one through a table. I will say the guy he put through the table jumped up with that motherfucker for a choke slam. It looked awesome, and he sold it like death. So Wall gets some heat back, but who knows if he's out of the new blood, because it seemed like franchise just left him to die. Chronic's now our tag champs. Logan, tag division is looking pretty rough. Douglas and Buff never defended the titles since they won them. 0 defenses. Chronic just stole their belts one time. Whatevs.
Yeah, so they haven't even had the physical titles for most of their reign, honestly. So, yeah, they won the vacant titles at Spring Stampede. I'm pretty sure. So they've had them since then.
They did, yeah.
And yeah, Chronic pretty quickly after that stole them, and have had them for almost the duration. I think they've stolen them and gotten them back and stolen them and gotten them back a couple of different times. But yeah, glad Chronic finally got the titles. They seem to be a team that maybe can lead the tag division going forward. I don't know how well or who they're going to face, but hopefully we start to put together some few more tag teams that they can face going forward. Maybe kind of rebuild the tag division. I thought the Wall looked really good after the match. He absolutely destroyed the medics. He did that awesome choke slam that you were talking about. So, yeah, like you said, it seems like Douglas just kind of left him for dead. So, I don't know if that means he's out of the new blood or what, but based on the post match, it made you think that maybe they would get back behind the Wall. But I think a big new guy slot is taken by Mike Awesome. So I don't know that he's going to slot back in to a high position or anything like that.
Yeah, I think me and you becoming Wall marks was not on my bingo card, Logan, but I'm here for it.
You know, honestly, I was just thinking like, we were both wall marks on this, but I think when Noso was doing TNA Never Dies, they were I think he's Malice in TNA.
Yeah, he's Malice with the new church,
and they were a big fan of him back then too. So I think we're not alone. I think he's actually not that bad of a wrestler. So I think we're definitely not alone in that fact.
Well, that makes me feel pretty good. Yeah, because he has something about him that I like. But sadly, I think he passes away in like 03 or 04.
Yeah, it's not too
like
far from there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
he's got that kind of 911 energy. I feel like, from ECW, he's got that comes out, beats ass, pins, goes back, goes home. He didn't overstay his welcome and could really, just absolutely wreck some guys. So I think he just kind of had a certain energy about him that, grabbed people, but he was never probably going to be the big top star in the grand scheme of things.
Well, as we discussed, it seemed like they were doing a Sid feud, and Sid, claimed injury and left, and that kind of fucked him. And then the new shiny toy was Mike Awesome, because they should have just slotted Wall in with Nash, but the new shiny toy was Awesome, who has gotten a better push than I thought, because the history books have always said like that he turns into like that 70s guy, the fat chick thriller, and then he joins Team Canada. All spoiler alerts, guys. I just don't know how we get there, but they've. It's been a month and a half since he joined, and he's been
the best downside might be coming. The blood side.
Yeah, which isn't really saying much, but outside Russo and Bischoff. But I think we're might see the start of the downturn tonight. We'll have to see if he can get a bounce back on Thunder, but on the next episode. But we'll get there, because we go backstage and Eric is with Kim, and Disco's in there. And Disco says he wants to be with his friends and no more Mama Luke's. So Eric's like, I don't really care what you do. Do whatever the hell you want. So I guess that's the end of the storyline of the Mama Lukes of Disco saying he didn't want to be there anymore. There was a time when he owed the guy money, Tony Marinara.
Mm-hmm.
We had some fun stuff with the two twins and Lash and Disco. But then Tony Marinara was released because he kind of sucked. Wasn't that great, like on promos and stuff, what they needed. And he was getting a lot of concussions. It was bad when even like in 2000, they're like, yeah, this dude already has like 10 concussions. So that's not good. But yeah, we'll see what he means by that. Terry Funk then limps in, and the cat pushes him from behind when he limps in, and Funk threatens him. Eric asks for the hardcore belt again. Terry said he will not give it and says he hates Eric. This has the cat attack Terry, and Eric goes back to talking about what house they're going to put DDP in. They said they were going to put him in like a trailer near a casino so he can go and work there. We have a commercial break. We see Norman and Ralphus going through the trash because they were fired last Monday when they were unable to beat Terry. Ralphus tries to eat trash chicken. Norman smacks it out of his hand, says no. Norman says we need to get a job and says he has an idea. We see the Goldberg monster truck in the background. They try to say we will see Goldberg tonight again. Yeah, that's all we got there. Is there anything you'd like to add for that?
Nah, I mean, just pretty basic stuff. Just,
Yeah.
It's sad to see the Mamalukes kind of get squashed down the card, and
because we like them too.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess it's good to see them using Disco again, because I've always kind of had not a love for him, because I think he's kind of a piece of shit nowadays, but he's kind of been one of my guilty pleasures throughout WCW.
He's a good mouthpiece.
Yeah.
A good mouthpiece. Yeah. That's what he is. Charismatic with that, not a good wrestler. But so Filthy Animals music hits. They have new theme music, Logan. I kind of like it. It's better than they had before. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Out comes Hoovy, Conan, and Ray. Hoovy has a mic and says, finally the juice has come back to Biloxi. I thought I was going to get it wrong. Made me laugh. Conan says Terry Funk's good days are behind him and says they're going to take his hardcore title. Funk starts to walk out, but Cat continues beating him down. Cat throws Funk in the ring. This leads us to match 3, which is Terry Funk versus the Filthy Animals and for the hardcore title. So a handicap match. All 3 Filthy Animals just beat Terry Funk down with weapons. Just a mugging. They're like, Ray has a chair on his ass and does a butt drop on Funk. Filthy Animals celebrate. They hold a chair up for Funk, and Hoovy's about to do like a leg drop, but MIA runs down and beats down Filthy Animals. I'm sorry. Disco shows who his friends are, and he runs down and attacks MIA. Funk is still knocked down in the ring. I say a feud between MIA and Filthy Animals has potential, Logan, because kind of a MIA mark, at least in 2000 I was, so we'll see if that holds true. As it's 4-on-4, everyone's fighting. Booker T runs down and beats down the Filthy Animals as well. Filthy Animals retreat, but Booker T grabs Hoovy and beats him down and puts like a flapjack on him. And then Booker T puts Funk on Hoovy, and Funk wins again. So like he's still like winning by like after getting his ass beat. We've seen him maybe get like 30 seconds of offense, maybe 3 minutes of offense, but if he gets Norman and Ralphus, so it doesn't really count. But Filthy Animals are in the aisleway. Major Guns comes down, and she takes her shirt off so we can get her a gratuitous shot of her fucking bazooka titties. And she gives Terry mouth to mouth, and he wakes up. And I did like how he did the mouth to mouth, Logan. One of my favorite things in wrestling is like when someone's in a sleeper hold, they do like the 3 drops, and like it comes up on the 3rd time. He did like something like that as well. She would give him mouth to mouth, and then like his left arm would go up. She'd do it again, left arm pop up again, left arm do it. And then Madden actually said, oh my God, I think he slipped her tongue after he woke up. So
that was Madden's one good zinger.
No, he has another one tonight. Like I said, he's like Matt
Okay.
Souza. He's 1 for 5 in jokes. So he has another one coming up that I wrote down. But yeah, this was just a fucking ass whooping. Like Filthy Animals still can't win. But I am interested in a Filthy Animals and MIA feud. So I think this could elevate both teams. It gives like the mid-card something to do, which you can shit on Russo all you want. This man knows how to make like a mid-card interesting, even with like a dearth of talent that we have here, because we no longer have Revolution anymore, because we had the Revolution and Filthy Animals feud when he was first here for forever. but Revolution's gone outside of Shane, who's a shell of himself. So
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, MIA versus Filthy Animals definitely has me intrigued. Obviously, they are quickly de-elevating Kidman down the card. So if they are not going to use him in a prominent position, definitely throw him in here. I mean, he wasn't in this match, but he's obviously with the group. And he also kind of gets his ass kicked later as well that we'll talk about. But yeah, seeing these guys go up against MIA, who seems to have a good collection of talent in the grand scheme of things on this roster at this point. But yeah, Funk absolutely gets his ass kicked here. The only reason he wins is because the MIAs and Booker come out, and Booker basically just drapes Funk over. I don't even remember who he pins, but he drapes him over somebody.
Hoovy.
It was Hoovy. And Funk retains the title once again, despite Bischoff's best efforts. So, yeah, I mean, the feud has me intrigued, like you said, but Funk needs to eventually lose based on the fact that they keep stacking the deck and he somehow keeps slipping away.
Yeah, this would be better if it was used for someone younger, like who keeps winning. Like, I don't even know who you could use, but like, it just needs to be like someone else because Funk ain't getting a rub from this. Like, it just makes Funk look like a joke. So like, I don't know, but yeah, it's something. It's something, Logan.
Yeah, like Funk.
So
Funk gets a rub off of it, but it's not. I mean, he's old and he's never going to be like the face of the company or the face of the good side of the company or anything like that going forward. So you're definitely right.
Yeah. And then we go to the backstage. A limo shows up. Flair's here and he looks pissed. We see the Goldberg truck lurking in the background like a fucking pedophile. It's like, what are we doing? And then we see Norman and Ralph is trying to get a job as popcorn sellers. And the guy who's the nicest dressed popcorn seller I've ever seen, who looks like he's a businessman, gives him a job and says, "Don't eat the profits." Ric Flair barges into the New Bloods meeting room, and it's Eric with R&B security. And Flair is yelling, "Where's Russo?" to Eric. Flair says, "If I can't find Russo, I'm coming back after you." He leaves the room. Eric tells Kat to call Russo and give him a heads up what's going down. Then we have Chris and Tammy come down, and Chris gets on the mic and says, "We are the first couple of sports entertainment." Chris says that Tammy is feeling good. They're going to put up a challenge for a mixed tag match for the Cruiserweight title. Speaking of Bazinga's out, her Bazingas were out, Logan. Like, those things were popping out of her little red shirt. New Blood music hits, and out comes Crowbar and Daphne. They're not really a couple, as we've discussed, but here we are. So match 4 tonight, it's Chris Candido and Tammy versus Crowbar and Daphne for the Cruiserweight title. Chris gets a head scissors and chops Crowbar. Out comes Miss Hancock for some reason. And then we see that Crowbar gets a sweet German release suplex that Chris lands right on his fucking head for. I don't know how he got up. But then Crowbar goes up top, and Chris is able to get up, I guess, off adrenaline, and he hits a superplex. Then Chris goes up top and hits a diving headbutt. Daphne stops the pin. Somehow, despite Daphne and Tammy not being legal women in this match, they both get pin on the men and gets 2. And then Crowbar drops Chris neck first on the ropes and then slams him. This gets 2. They roll outside, and Crowbar slams Chris on the floor and then hits like a Vader bomb on Chris using the guardrail. Crowbar then has a chair and throws it at Chris, but Chris catches it and he throws it back. And then Crowbar's holding the fucking chair like a moron, and Tammy hits the slowest baseball slide in human history into Crowbar, and then Tammy hits Crowbar with the chair. The announcers try to say that Crowbar's so crazy he waited for it to happen. Like, that's how slow it was. It was like time fucking stood still. Tammy and Chris hit a double suplex. Tammy then tries to pin Crowbar, but Daphne breaks it up. Chris throws Crowbar out of the ring. This allows Daphne to hit a Bronco Buster on Tammy. Then Miss Hancock gets on the mic and says, "Tony, I got a surprise for you," then starts dancing. We see Stacy dancing and Crowbar's dancing like he never saw a naked woman, despite us seeing on Thunder that he had already seen naked women for the first time. but then Kristen goes for a power bomb on the floor on the aisleway, but Crowbar reverses and hits a front suplex. And while this is going on, Daphne pins Tammy. I don't even know what the move was because we went and it was like Daphne pins Tammy. Crowbar. They say that Crowbar is the champ, but Daphne puts the title around her waist. And then we'll get to the post match after this. Logan, this was a sloppy ass match. Like there were some cool moves here and there, but this was sloppy as hell. I know Daphne is maybe trained to be a wrestler, and I believe so, but Tammy has no reason to be in this fucking ring right now. Like, not good. And like that spot I'm talking about with like the baseball slide in the chair, it was like time stood still, guys. Like it was bad.
Yeah, any time she was involved in a spot, you could tell she was like waiting for whatever to happen or like whatever before she was going to do a move was supposed to happen. There's this point where they're in the ring and Tammy's just kind of standing there, and then she's like, "Oh shit, that move happened. It's my turn." And then she went for it or whatever. I said this match smells badly of Russo because we have multiple
1000%
untrained workers here. It's a mess. The result is kind of, you don't understand. It's very, very, very strange. But yeah, this one smelled real bad of Russo's overbooking and putting. I mean, obviously Tammy's not trained, and Daphne may be trained a little bit, but she ain't trained enough to be in a working match. But yeah, I mean, Daphne, I think they're technically co-champions going forward. Is that this reign or is this? I know it gets split eventually, but I think they're technically co-champions here, right?
Maybe we'll find out on Thunder. Like,
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there's a reign where they're like co-champions, and then maybe they have a match down the line where they get split up.
Which that means he's just doing the fucking China and Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
with the IC.
But yeah, this was an absolute mess. This would be a dud if we were given ratings or anything like that. But I mean, Crowbar and Candido tried, but it's a slop fest throughout. It was really bad.
Yeah. And we don't do MVPs on the show, but the MVP, Ric Flair, comes down because he's the MVP of this episode. He beats down Crowbar. Daphne just watches and screams. Flair literally chops Crowbar out of the ring. So good job powering up your cruiserweight champ, at least half of it. Potentially with that ass. Yeah. Flair gets on the mic and calls out Russo, says, "Get out here now," says the game is over, says, "Bring your New York ass out now." We see that Russo's in the production truck and says, "Play the tape when I tell you to." We have a commercial break. Flair's still in the ring, and he's screaming, "Bring your New York ass out here tonight." Then he calls him an asshole. And then we cut, for some reason, this is real weird, to Sting walking towards his car in full gear, and it's on fire. And then it comes back, and even Flair has a look like, what the fuck, on his face. But then he says, "Come to the nature boy, Vince Russo." And he keeps screaming, "Come to me." Then the tape starts. We see that Russo and David showed up to the Flair house in like a Corvette, and they parked in the yard. We found out that David isn't allowed in the house. And I will say this video, for how absurd it is, has some funny one-liners, Logan. We see that they have a limo, and David says that limo is for Beth, his stepmom, to go get groceries, and David has never rode in it. And then I will say, as someone who has step parents, if I would have walked into my dad's house and saw like my dad and like my stepmom and like then my dad's new children just had a picture blown up and there's no picture of me and my sister, I'd be pretty fucking pissed too. So maybe David has some right here, because there's a big ass picture of Beth, Reed, and Ashley and David. I mean, of Rick, Beth, Reed, and Ashley. Yeah, and I was like, well, that's pretty fucked up, because it was like 18 by 24, guys. Like, this thing's like over like a fireplace.
I think the way you can justify that is David actually really didn't live in that house, but yeah, still, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, like, goddamn, put some small pictures beside him at least. Like, that's what I am at my dad's. There's some little pictures to show that I lived there before. But we see a picture of Beth, Reed. David says that Reed is called Champ, and Russo says they call you Chump, which made me laugh. Then they go. Then Russo's like, "I've always wanted to be here," and it's Space Mountain, aka the master bedroom. Russo and Daphne go and like jump on the bed. Um, and then like they're like out on like the like a little porch area that they have off the master. And David says, "Look, this is their swimming pool," and points towards like this nice ass swimming pool. And he goes, "This is mine," and he points to a creek. And then Vince says it's shark infested, which I don't know. Logan fucking made me laugh. He's like, "Look at this shark infested creek."
Fucking stupid. But
it's so dumb, but it just makes me laugh. He's like, it is New York accent. It's shark infested. I can't do an accent. And then they go in like this beautiful closet, and we see like so many pairs of Rick's shoes. And Russo's like, "Why do you need so many shoes?" And they try on their robes. And every time they leave a room, Russo keeps calling Daphne Psycho. He's like, "Come on, Psycho." And then we see we go into Reed, aka Champ's room, and we see all of Reed's trophies, which he's won a lot, which is pretty impressive. And David says Rick goes to all of them, but he went to 0 of my games. And then they steal some of Reed's medals, which I'd be like pretty pissed, but whatever. And then we go to David's room, and it's just a fucking unfinished basement, and he has like a comforter as a sheet on the ground. And David said, "I had to sleep on here for 21 years. And Russo says, "Yeah, they treated you like a troll under the bridge." And then Russo says that he loves David and hugs him. And then Beth, Reed, and Ashley show up. Ashley looks pretty familiar to someone we know now. And they're like, "What's going on?" And David says, "I'm exposing what's happened to me." Reed pushes Vince. Beth says she's going to call the cops, and the video ends. But when they're leaving, like, I guess like Ashley smacked Russo, and he said, "Hey, keep your hands to yourself," as she's walking out. Logan, as much shit as I give Russo, this fucking stuff with David Flair has been pretty funny. From like the weird New York video to List Now, when he's like, "The shock infested waters." So dumb.
Yeah, this probably shouldn't have come across as funny as it was, but it was pretty entertaining. So maybe more of this, because like you said, the New York stuff with the crazies, Crowbar, David and Daphne was pretty funny. And this came across as very entertaining. So definitely maybe more of this of Russo, just throwing seemingly a pity party for David and all that. But I thought this was very good, and like you did.
Yeah, when he's like, "Come," every time he leaves a room, he's like, "Come on, chump." No, "Come on, Psycho. Come on, Psycho," to Daphne, and she's just like, "Okay." Every time they left the room, "Come on, Psycho." Yeah. So after this, David Flair and Daphne come out. David says, "Hey, Rick, my dad's busy in the back, but anything you can say to me, I'll tell him." Rick says, "Come here and I'll say it to you." And then in an awesome line, he says, "These are going to be the biggest steps you'll ever take." David comes down and Rick repeats the biggest steps again. Rick says, "Tonight, David, you're going to grow up." David says, "You know how it feels to be Ric Flair's son and like all the shadow and everything that he in?" Rick says he's going to lay something down. Rick says he won an opportunity to wrestle Jeff Jarrett at the Bash. Flair said he's calling in a shot tonight. He's going to do that tonight so you can look in the mirror and see what an asshole you are at the Bash. And then Rick says, "If you don't like what I said, do something about it." Rick said they wanted us to spill blood. I said it 18 months ago when you started. But he says at Great American Bash, pick out your favorite pair of wrestling boots because you will wrestle Ric Flair, not your dad. David says, "Be ready to wrestle your son, the one you left in Minnesota for all those years," which is a hell of a fucking line, Logan, to repeat back to him. I was like, damn. David said he's ready to kick his ass. Rick says, "Get up and do it." Rick says, "Nothing you do in your life will top wrestling Ric Flair." Just another amazing line. Rick says if he loses to David, he will retire. While this happened, Jeff Jarrett comes down, the world champ, in case you've forgotten, because we haven't really seen him in a while, and he hits Rick with a guitar. David attacks Rick, and Jeff puts Rick in the figure 4. I even have a note that says, "Where the fuck is Jeff been?" David screams, "Get up," and he says, I'll see you at the Great American Bash, Dad." So, not going to lie, Logan, as wooden as David can be on the mic, he did have some good lines here. It felt from the heart. saying like you'll be wrestling the child you left in Minnesota, which is a hell of a line. And it looks like our main event tonight is going to be Jeff Jarrett versus Ric Flair for the world title. I was wondering how they were going to get around. It seemed like they'd sort of forgotten that Rick had won like the Battle Royal to for the number one contender before Slamboree, but looks like we're using it tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't just leave that behind and kind of forget that and all that kind of stuff. So good to see that they didn't bail on that idea. But yeah, this is one of David's better performances. He still comes across as kind of forced and wooden, but he did seem a little bit more natural here. I just don't think he's comfortable in the grand scheme of things. It's just not. They threw him into a position way too quickly that they shouldn't have. But obviously, that's not his fault. But yeah, I think some real, inner thoughts of each guy were given out here. I think David, let some stuff off his chest, and Rick probably did as well. So I think it was a pretty real segment for the most part. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, and we get reminded that Jeff Jarrett is also here, and he is the world champion. So, he does sadly kind of seem as like an afterthought. We talk about all the new blood guys not getting over, and he's actually one of the ones that probably has, but they don't book him as an important character on their television. So he doesn't come across that way. So, but maybe that'll change going forward, but we'll see.
Yeah. And then we go to the back and Russo's yelling at a production assistant to fix something. Then he turns to Liz and says, it's time for more tough love, and says the cage is for you tonight. I guess he forgot we already had one cage match tonight. We have a commercial break. The House of Pain cage lowers again. Russo, Chuck Palumbo, Liz, and R&B security come down. Russo says, I'm from New York, and there's always a plan. He says Liz has made him a horse's ass and humiliates me. Russo says that Liz will learn about tough love tonight. Says Liz will be in a House of Pain match versus Medusa for the chair shot that she did against Medusa last Monday during her match. So match 5, guys, Medusa versus Liz in the House of Pain cage match. They have someone repairing the roof that Sting did for the cage. So Russo's on the mic and says, we're going to milk Liz. Russo tells Palumbo to lock the door and ring the bell, which he does. And they say that he throws the key in the crowd. And Russo and Medusa corner Liz in the corner and says, how does it feel now? Russo says, didn't you hit this one with the chair? Russo says, slap me now. It was very uncomfortable to watch, guys. Then the person who was fixing the cage drops down, and it's Lex Luger. He had a disguise on, which was pretty good. He had a fake mustache, a black hair beard, and a St. Louis baseball hat. Medusa tries to attack Lex, but he racks her. And then Russo hits Lex in the nuts, or Lex reveals he was wearing a cup. Russo starts panicking, and Liz actually kicks Russo in the nuts, then puts the cup in Russo's face. I think he has a humiliation kink for Liz, Logan. But Chuck and R&B security finally break open the door, and Lex takes out security, but they mace him once again. And then Palumbo hits Lex with the muscle flexor. And Lex is just beaten down and knocked out. The Wolfpack music hits, and Kevin Nash comes down. Russo hides behind Liz. Nash beats down security. Russo, Liz, and Palumbo all leave. Russo is seething as Nash beats down R&B security. Medusa's in the ring, and Nash is about to powerbomb her. But Mike Awesome comes down and beats down Nash. Luger is finally able to get up and chases Awesome off with bolt cutters. Nash gets on the mic and calls Awesome Eddie Money. I don't really know why. He says Awesome messed with Nash for the last time. Nash says Awesome will leave the arena in an ambulance tonight and challenge him to an ambulance match, our second one in 2 shows. No, our third one in 3 shows, Logan, because DDP and Awesome had one, Sting and Awesome had one, and now Awesome and Nash is having one. Awesome gets on the mic and says Nash is a 7-foot freak and that he'll end his career. Nash says, like my buddy Scott Hall says, sing it, don't bring it. So we have a match. It should be on pay-per-view, Logan, that they've been building up since April, being wasted tonight with Nash versus Awesome. This match was a no contest. It did start. The bell did ring, guys. So we had 2 House of Pain cage matches tonight.
I guess it technically did start. And you said that backwards. It's don't sing it, bring it. So
My bad.
no, you're good. But yeah, this was another mess. Obviously, you did get to see Luger rack Medusa, but you really wanted to see him rack Russo, especially after he revealed the cup and all that. Russo does get low blowed, so that was good. But Palumbo does get in pretty quickly after that and help Russo out. Another ambulance match. Would have liked to have seen Nash get that jackknife on Medusa as well, but that didn't quite happen. And I think we learn maybe why Mike Awesome doesn't get the push going forward, because the way he cuts the promo answering the challenge, not all that convincing of what you want a top guy to probably sound like. So he kind of sounds like a child, responding back to Nash in the way that he does. So I think we might be seeing why Mr. Awesome doesn't get that big push going forward.
Yeah, he was not good. I know I think they had like Judge Jeff Jones on the mic for him in Ring of Honor, and they should have just kept Russo and Eric as his mouthpiece. Just had him be the big like person that kills people, the silent monster. But can't do that. So but we go backstage and Mean Gene is waiting for Big Papa Pump. Gene says he's late. Scott shows up and says he's never late. And he says he's going to shove the format up Russo's ass. Scott tells Russo that he's not wrestling tonight. He's going to be waiting in the alley behind the arena for his brother and Tank Abbott because there's too many rules in wrestling. We see Ralphus and Norman selling popcorn in the stands. They talk about the newest WCW magazine, and they mention Goldberg's injury. I actually have that issue somewhere, Logan, I think. So we see Tank and Rick Steiner in the alley looking for Scott. They start walking towards Scott, but two of the freaks hit Rick with the 2x4 while Scott's beating down Tank. Rick's able to then run the girls off, and he breaks the 2x4 over Scott's back and beats him down. I will say this is the most that Rick Steiner looks like his son Braun Breaker here, Logan. Like a spitting fucking image. Like I never saw it before, but what he was wearing tonight, I was like, damn, that's old Bronny's dad.
Rick Breaker.
Yeah, old Rick Breaker. But we see Goldberg's truck run over cars, multiple cars, like it's a fucking monster truck rally. And then this scares off Tank and Rick. I just said, what are we doing? I don't like how they're using our boy Logan. Yeah.
We do get a kind of crazy Steiner promo with his freaks with Gene before that, but he gets beaten down pretty convincingly here. Only gets saved by the mythological creature that is the Goldberg monster truck, running off Tank and Rick. So I'm not too excited about Scott getting beaten down by these two schlubs, including his over the hill brother, and a talentless hack that is Tank Abbott. So I'm ready for Goldberg to just get here so this feud can be over, even though it's not really a feud because it's one-sided and only one of them is on TV. But I need Tank to not be in a prominent spot on TV. So Goldberg, please come back and beat him and rid us of this.
Just kill him. Yeah.
Or that works.
So we see Kevin Nash backing in an ambulance. We have a commercial break. Match 6, guys. Mike Awesome versus Kevin Nash in an ambulance match. Before the match starts, Madden apologizes for saying that Bruno Sammartino was dead a couple weeks ago. I totally missed that he said that, but I guess it pissed off Bruno. Whoops. So Nash backs in the ambulance. Nash comes down. Then we see the Awesome Path of Destruction, which I'm not going to lie is a pretty dope name. Awesome then comes down and gets in the ring, and Nash hits him with the knee. Awesome fights back with the punch, and then runs into a big boot from Nash. Nash punches Awesome and does it with his knees in the corner, and then elbows him in the corner 3 times. Awesome's able to get out of the corner, and he kicks Nash and punches him into another corner. He Irish whips Nash and actually hits a sweet flying clothesline on him. Awesome then picks up Nash and drops him throat first on the rope. Nash goes outside and grabs a chair, but before he can use it, Nash kicks Awesome, and he picks up a chair and hits him with it. This is when they're like, yeah, we don't do DQs anymore, which is funny because in the next match, Eric is constantly complaining for a DQ. Nash throws Awesome in the aisleway, but when Nash is leaving the ring, Awesome punches and kicks Nash. They battle towards the ambulance up the aisleway. Nash hits Awesome in the nuts like multiple times, so much that they're like, he's using his nuts like a speed bag. They tries to throw him into the Turner Vision, but Awesome stops him and throws him into it. Then Awesome goes and gets a table, and he takes fucking forever to set it up. But then he gets back up and he starts walking towards Nash, and DDP shows up and hits a diamond cutter on Awesome. Nash and DDP then drag Awesome towards off the stage to where the ambulance and the table is set up. Nash almost kills Awesome as he couldn't get him up with the power bomb, but DDP comes over and helps, and they do a quasi shield power bomb on into the table, but DDP actually has to jump off the stage to help Awesome go through the table. Nash and DDP then are on the aisleway and they do the suck it. And then this is the second thing that made me laugh, Logan. Madden says this is too suggestive, and please don't show this again. Nash and DDP just walk off, and Robinson calls for the bell in an ambulance match as Awesome is out through the table. So didn't even get taken away in an ambulance. In a fucking ambulance match, Logan. Just no contest.
Yep, an ambulance match that ends with a loser that did not get put into an ambulance. Yeah, just absolutely hilarious. I'm starting to think that Nash isn't that strong. He's obviously a big motherfucker, but this seems to happen more often than it doesn't, that he can't get these bigger guys up for the jackknife, which I'm not saying it's easy by any standard, but I'm starting to think that Nash might not be as strong as maybe he seems or looks or thinks he is, because this seemed like a struggle, and I don't think it was the fact that Awesome sandbagged him or anything. So, but yeah, DDP being out there, I'm glad he was, because Awesome probably would have died otherwise. But yeah, an ambulance match where no one goes in an ambulance. That's amazing booking there, Mr. Russo. So just absolutely absurd. But yeah, I mean, Awesome, I guess, took two guys to take him out. So he's still not looking absolutely horrible, but not particularly good on that promo earlier. And obviously he takes a pretty convincing L here.
Yeah, it's rough, Logan. It was rough. I really thought Awesome was going to die. DDP's smart though and saves him, but and then we see Eric in the back and says, I guess you have to do things yourself. Hulk Hogan then shows up in his muscle car. We have a commercial break. We see that Norman and Ralph is saying how they sold all their popcorn. They go to get more. Norman says they should expand to hot dogs and drinks. As Ralph is going to get more popcorn, he has his hand down his pants searching for shit gold. And then he sticks his hand in the popcorn. The popcorn manager sees us and fires them both. I don't know why we're continuing with this, Logan. Eric's music hits, and out comes Kim, Eric, and the cat. Eric says, I love you people. I know that you love me. Eric says, there's a time when you want something done, you have to do it yourself. He calls out Paige. Eric says he's taking away everything and how he's going to, I guess, end Paige. And he says, he calls out Paige, says he will kick his teeth in by himself. And he tells him to bring backup too. DDP has a mic, comes out, he has a mic and says, Cat, some people may think you're a bad son of a bitch, but to me, you are a pussy. I was shocked he was able to fucking say that. Because then he waits 5 seconds after saying pussy and says cat, just like, oh, look at this.
I think that's why they let him get away with it.
Yeah, but I was
damn, cat in there.
Yeah, but also makes DDP kind of look like a pussy saying cat at the end. Anyway, DDP decks Eric and beats down Cat. DDP hits the rock bottom, then he starts going after Eric, who left the ring. Eric tries to run, but DDP catches him and beats him around ringside. Cat comes back down, but he eats a clothesline. DDP throws Cat in the ring and hits a top rope clothesline. Kimlin hits DDP with the worst fucking chair shot ever. It's so bad. The announcers say, she didn't get all of that one.
Lots of bad chair shots.
Yeah, basically, it's people who are not trained to be wrestlers, Logan, doing this.
Yeah. I feel like even a couple of the actual wrestler guys delivered some chair shots tonight that weren't all that great. It's like they told them not to lay it in, which I understand, but they told them to really pull the weapon shots or something like that. It was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. So then Cat then hits DDP with a feliner kick. Ericlin's karate kicking DDP. Then, good God, Sid Vicious music hits, and we haven't seen him since the Thunder after after he had
The
to
reset,
give up the
yeah.
title.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the reset, and he comes down. We all know it's coming because he waits on the tag from DDP like this is a match. This is not a match. DDP then tags him in, and then swerve, bro. Sid chokeslams DDP. Sid and Eric shake hands. Eric like is bowing down to Sid. So I guess like Sid has defected from the Millionaires Club and has joined the New Blood, which makes zero sense because the last time we saw Sid and Eric was stripping him of the world title. Hulk Hogan's music hits and he runs down. Hogan beats down Sid and Kat. Eric leaves. Eric is on the aisleway and says, Hogan, you want to play in my house? He says, get rid of DDP. I'm going to let you play my way. Says Hogan is a dead man. And then we do a commercial break, and then we see Eric is walking with. Sorry, we'll get to this next part. What did you think of this whole thing of Sid returning and becoming heel? I had no idea he returned. I really thought he showed up in like October, November, Logan. So we'll have to see how long he's here for.
Yeah, something tells me he doesn't he doesn't hang around for too long, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I was definitely shocked to see him because, like you said, I thought he was gone till towards the end of the year, honestly. But yeah, definitely shocked to see him. Yeah, like you said, I don't know that it makes a ton of sense, Sid being in the New Blood, but obviously because of like the last time we saw him, like you said, they were taking the title away from him, and but I mean, if he's back and is going to be around, then cool. But like I said, I don't particularly know that he stays around all that long, so I don't know that this is going to have as much impact going forward as it would like to. But you know, Hogan comes out and tries to help. So yeah, but we'll see with Sid. That's the best I can do. Like, hopefully he's around, but I don't think he will be.
Yeah, I don't. It might be one and done. Which
I was saying, he honestly might show up here
thing.
and not come back.
Yeah, it's weird. Looks like the Savage thing. So then we come back from commercial. We see Eric is walking with Horace and Kidman. Eric says for Horace to trust him. We see how Horace got his ass beat by the Filthy Animals last week. I'm like, when did Horace switch sides? Did I miss something? Fucking Wednesday to Monday.
He got fired for losing to the Filthy Animals. I mean, I think they're basically just saying to have a job, he has to be Bischoff's helper or whatever.
They didn't even mention that he got fired, Logan. Me and you only remember that.
Exactly.
So Kidman and Eric come out. Horace is with them. Eric says, tonight your own nephew is going to kick your ass all over this godforsaken stinking state because Horace is one of us. Hogan runs out and attacks Kidman on the ramp. Match 7, triple threat, Hulk versus Kidman versus Horace. Stop if you heard this one before, Logan. Hulk beats Kidman's ass. Horace just watches. He does beal him. Listen to Lincoln Up Lucha for that one. He does beal him later, Logan. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Kidman gets an irate and attacks Hogan. Horace still watches. Kidman misses a drop kick. And this is when he beals him because Hogan catapults Kidman out of the ring into the fucking aisleway. Jesus Christ. It's like how I imagine you wrestling with Charlie.
Yeah.
Like this is what this is. Yeah. Hulk starts whipping Kidman with the belt. The whole time while this is happening, the announcers keep trying to talk and Eric tells them to shut up and he calls Tony and Madden fat, which maybe he's like, Tony, I see you behind Madden and Waffle House line. Just brutal. Hogan chokes Kidman with the belt. Then he gets in the ring. He backdrops Kidman. Then he goes to pin him and he pulls him up. Horace is still watching. Hogan throws Kidman outside and throws him in the guardrail. He throws Kidman to the ring post. Hogan throws papers that were at the announce table at Eric. Hogan just continues squashing Kidman. Kidman hits Hogan in the nuts. Kidman rolls Hogan in the ring. Hogan hulks up immediately. Does the Hulk up routine, another nut shot. Kidman's trying to leave the ring, but Horace grabs Kidman and throws him to Hulk. Eric gets off of the announce table and he yells at Horace and he actually slaps him. Horace then goes after Eric. The Filthy Animals run down and they get squashed again by Hogan. Horace grabs 2 chairs and he hits the filthy animals. He gives 1 chair to Hulk. Tori Lynn comes out. Tori basically eye fucks Horace. And Horace turns on Hulk, hits him with the chair, and Horace wins. So not only is, I turn on anyone for Tori too, guys. Not only is Kidman getting his ass beat in this feud up and down, he's also getting cucked by his own girl. Eric puts a new blood vessel on Horace. The crowd really give 2 fucks left. Horace sucks. Like, this is so dumb.
Yeah, he's so irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, this seemed like it was supposed to just be Horace versus Hulk, but they randomly throw Kidman in there. Just another excuse to make Kidman look like an absolute loser and a fool.
He's a cuck.
Yeah, and Horace, like, if he's gonna be on the New Blood side at the end, why does he help Hogan throughout the match? Like, why does that make any sense? Just help Kidman win. If you're going to eventually turn on Hulk at the end. I mean, I understand it was for Tory reasons, but like, if Tory reasons are going to happen, just have Tory reasons happen at the very beginning and have him just destroy, Hulk from the very beginning. But Horace obviously doesn't follow the rules, helps Hulk win pretty much. He decks Bischoff with like a punch, kind of like you said. He then delivers a pretty weak chair shot to Hulk at the end when he turns and eventually pins him. So Horace Hogan has a pinfall victory over Hulk Hogan. So that's an interesting one for the trivia books. But yeah, I mean, I would turn on pretty much anybody for Torrie Wilson as well. So I don't blame Horace whatsoever. But this just didn't make any sense. And like I said, it is purely an excuse to make Kidman look like an absolute loser.
Yeah, like this is horrific, guys. Like, I knew it was bad, Logan, but I feel like we keep saying this. It gets worse and worse every week. Like, my God. Like, I thought I think we're done getting lower. No, we can't get any lower, but we do. Like, what is going on? So we have a commercial break. We see what this point.
If I was Kidman, I would have just like left the.
I've been like,
you just made me
WWF. Like, you call in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we see what just happened. We see Horace and Tori walking out towards a limo. Kidman is yelling, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Eric stops him and says it's no big deal as Tori and Horace get in the limo, I guess, to go fuck. So like I said, Kidman being cucked. Out comes Russo in Flair's robe that he took from Charlotte with David and Daphne. We see Nash watching in the back. This leads us to the main event. Ric Flair versus Jeff Jarrett for the world title. Russo and David are on commentary. They talk about what happened earlier. Rick is out first. Jeff's out next. Rick attacks Jeff in the aisleway and chops him. He throws Jeff in the ring. Jeff rolls out because this wouldn't be a Jeff Jarrett match, and they brawl around ringside. And Rick just chops him around the ringside area. Rickland slaps the microphone off of Madden, which made me laugh. Then Rick goes back to beating Jeff's ass. He Irish whips him into a guardrail. A fan actually grabs a chair nearby and gives it to Rick, and Rick hits Jeff with it. That fan was super in the match. I don't know if she was a plan or not, Logan, but we'll get to more her in a minute. Rick throws Jeff back in the ring. He goes to get in the ring, but Jeff grabs the middle rope and crotches Flair. Jeff stomps Rick and throws him in the turnbuckle. Rick does his Flair flop to the outside. Jeff then Irish whips Rick and then hits Rick with the chair multiple times. The fan that gave Rick the chair to use actually slaps Jeff. And like you can see, like he looked pretty pissed at that, Logan. I don't know. I don't think he was acting on that one. Jeff then suplexes Rick on the arena floor, and Rick does this patented, "Oh God!" Jeff punches Rick on the floor and throws him back in the ring. Jeff puts the figure four on Flair. Jeff slaps Rick while having the figure four, and then like Rick does the thing where he's like passed out, but he gets 2 counts. Flair gets to the ropes, and then Jeff starts stomping Rick. Rick gets to his feet, and Jeff punches him. Jeff keeps punching Rick into the corner. Jeff goes for 10 punches in the corner, but Rick gets an atomic drop and hits him with a nut shot. Rickland chops Jeff. Jeff reverses an Irish whip, and Flair does the Flair flop again. Then he hits a clothesline on Jeff and runs up to the turnbuckle. But of course, Jefflin slams him off. Jefflin does an Irish whip, and Rick gets an inside cradle and gets a 3 count, guys. Like, as clean as we're going to get here. Fucking inside cradle for the win. We have a new world champion. After the match, Jeff grabs a guitar and just brains Charles Robinson in it. Russo and David go towards the ring and they beat down Rick with Jeff. They hit him with the Statue of Liberty again. Russo takes the world title with him and goes up the aisleway. Jeff beats down Rick with the remnants of the guitar. Wolfpack music hits and Kevin Nash stalks Russo. He grabs the world title and walks towards the ring. Nash gets in the ring and hits Jeff with the belt and then power bombs him, and the ring actually breaks. Jeff's stuck in the middle of the ring. Rick pulls himself up as Nash gives him the world title. And then we go to the back, and Eric's with Shane, and they are talking to someone on the phone and says they've overestimated Big Kev. And then he says that Eric says that him and Russo have a meeting on Wednesday and that Shane is running the show on Thunder. And that's how the show ends, Logan. With the new world champ, we had 3 titles change hands. What did you think of that main event and Rick winning the title?
Definitely was shocked at the result. I didn't think the match was all that bad. I'm still not into Flair wrestling with the slacks and the, dress t-shirt on. Again, I get the whole body shame issue kind of thing, but whatever. I like that Flair kind of attacked Jarrett in the aisleway, or vice versa, whichever way it was. That the match started in the aisleway, and they kind of really went after it to kind of start things. Another weak chair shot in this match. I thought Jarrett delivered a chair shot at one point, and it was pretty lame. I like that Charles Robinson kind of looked the other way while Rick did a couple of low blows on Jarrett. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, Flair with the surprise inside cradle for the win. I was not expecting him to win the world title tonight, but yeah, definitely a surprising result. Like you said, Charles Robinson gets absolutely brained after the match, as does Rick with the Statue of Liberty statue. So seeing Nash and Flair on the same page seems kind of weird to me for some reason. So I'm assuming that'll flip at some point, but they seem like an unlikely duo to kind of be together and be helping each other. But yeah, Flair's the world champ. This is number. Is this 16 or is this? Do we know what number this was?
Yeah. They said it was. He was a 15-time champ, so I believe this is 16.
So this is his last one. So, yeah, what a way to win your last world title. So, yeah, definitely weird, and I'm interested to see what crazy shit Shane Douglas can cook up for Thunder since he's left in charge for this big meeting that Bischoff and Russo have.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens on the next episode. But before we get out of here, Logan, let's run through a couple things. So the champs going into the show, guys. World champ was Jeff Jarrett. U.S. champ was Scott Steiner. Tag champ Shane Douglas and Buff. Cruiserweight champ Chris Candido. Hardcore champ Terry Funk. Coming out of the show, Ric Flair's world champion. Scott Steiner's U.S. champion. Chronic tag champs. Cruiserweight is Daffney and Crowbar. Hardcore is Terry Funk. For most absurd, I got gimmick match galore. Anything you'd like to add?
Nah, the overabundance of gimmick matches was ridiculous. Like we have multiple like gimmick matches that don't end in the gimmick that they're supposed to be. So like the second House of Chaos or House of whatever it's called,
House of Pain.
House of Pain. Sorry, that doesn't end with the shackles or anything like that, and the ambulance match doesn't end with anybody in the ambulance. So just a couple of gimmick matches that don't have the desired result, I guess. Yeah,
and we had 8 matches tonight, guys. One clean finish, which was just the first House of Pain match, which was weird. 7 non-clean or non-finishes. 0 pole matches tonight. We're still at 5, guys. We thought there'd be more, but we're gonna see if like the narrative was wrong about that. We had 6 gimmick matches tonight. That raises us to 131. We had 2 guitar shots tonight. That brings us to 40. How many different things happened tonight, Logan?
We had 34 things happen. So probably a higher number than we've been getting, I feel like. But
yeah, because we had 30 things on Thunder. So it's pretty high. We're now at 50 total title changes overall, guys.
Wow. And spoiler alert, there will soon be more.
Yeah, it's only gonna ramp up. But yeah, are you? Let's close out how we did. Are you smarter than Russo's WCW, Logan?
I will say he didn't have a bad night tonight.
I'm gonna say no.
There were a couple of bad matches, but like I think the cruiserweight debauchery was his fault for sure. So maybe slightly yes, but not as much as usual, I would say.
Yeah, I'm putting it down as no for us tonight. I think it might be the first one since like the.
I think there's
417
like two or three.
yeah, there's a couple, but yeah, that brings us to another end of another episode. We'll see you again in 2 weeks for the Shane Douglas Running Thunder episode, which should be interesting to us all to see what that's about. But as always, I'm Scott Shiflett. He's Logan Crossland. Stay positive.
Bah.